Hi guys! I know it's a little bit odd to have a video going up today, especially because I don't think this video is going to be incredibly long. But you guys will have to let me know if you like these type of videos when, you know, I or some of the others can and have the ability to do these. Would you stop playing with that bag? Oh my goodness, you two. Kittens. So, as some of you may know, if you're living in the US or in other places around the world, One Piece Film Red is out, and it's out in some theaters. I'm lucky enough to live somewhere where it's out in theaters, so yesterday, Knick-Knack and I went in the evening to go watch One Piece Film Red, and I thought I'd put up a little video about my thoughts about it, and talk a little bit about what he said. He's not available for a video right now. He has to work. Ugh. No, I just came from school. That's entirely fair. No shade, my dude. So yeah, One Piece Film Red is the 25th anniversary movie for One Piece. It's written and produced by Oda, the story. And he had a lot of involvement in it. And I will say, Knick-Knack and I went and saw it last night, and we went to like a 7 p.m. showing. And I guess it's not super popular in the area where I live because we ended up being the only two people in the theater. And although Knick-Knack hasn't seen that far into One Piece, that meant that throughout the movie I was able to kind of talk to him and explain some things that he doesn't know at this point, since it does have all the characters from the current cast and all that sort of stuff. So there are certain things that would be spoiled in the movie if you cared about being spoiled and you hadn't seen up to the current arc. With that being said, Knick-Knack doesn't particularly care because he's not planning on watching One Piece all the way through. More's the pity. It's amazing. Everyone should watch it all the way through. It's stunning. So, the movie is... In my opinion, the movie can be considered both canonical and non-canonical because we've seen Uta, the main character, already in a different arc as a background character. So technically she exists in the main series, but as is the case with a lot of One Piece movies, you can really kind of view them as DLC, like extra content. They don't necessarily have to be incorporated into the world, but you can choose to, because Oda's really fucking good at writing his movies, and the fact that he maintains a lot of control over the creative process allows for him to make sure that nothing is conflicting or doing anything real weird between the movies and the anime releases. So with that being said, we did watch the English subtitled version because, honestly, I don't watch the dub much, and I'm kind of... I don't know how I feel about some of the dub voices, to be honest. But I did really like the sub version. I will say that Uta, obviously the singer, because this is an idol movie, basically. By the way, spoilers for One Piece Film Red from this point onwards. I do want to see the English version, at least of the songs, because Uta is voiced by Amelie in the English dub, and I really like her music. I watch her on YouTube all the time, so at the very least, I'm going to end up going and looking up all of the songs done by her, so I can hear them in English. And on that note, the songs in this movie absolutely slap. Amazing. Goat. Like, there are 5 to 7 tracks. Sometimes it's hard to tell because a few of them were done with reprises. But every single song is different, and they are all stunningly well done. And one of the songs, one of the later songs, you can actually kind of hear the opening to the original theme song, I think, playing like very, very quietly as like part of the bass of the music arrangement. I'm fairly certain. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just hearing things. But I adored the music. I thought it was really, really well done. And honestly, it made the movie even better. Now, in terms of animation, it was, I feel like I use the word stunning a lot. It was visually amazing. I mean, the animation was top tier quality. I mean, you know, movement, fighting, all that stuff, like the way that the characters looked. There was not a moment where people looked odd or off. And the fight scenes, oh my god, the fight scene at the end looked so fucking good. Like, there was so much use of, like, stylized, like, stills, and then sakuga, and then pieces of the fight that looked more like manga drawings than anime. And just the way that it was done was absolutely beautiful. Got to see a ton of Zoro and Sanji and all the other characters fighting. And as is usual in the One Piece movies, we kind of get like a new DLC set of outfits where all the crew are matching with one another. But it was really interesting as we start the movie and all of the main crew are, I get, because they're going to a concert, they're all dressed up as like famous singers, like specific looks. Like Usopp's dressed like Kiss. Jinbei is in a kimono version of Elvis's famous like white and gold outfit. And so on. Like, they're all dressed as recognizable kind of eras or performers or kind of genres of music. Like, I really, really liked that because you could look at it and go, oh, look, it's Kiss. But yeah, the animation was absolutely beautiful. I thought every bit of it was amazing. Honestly, some of the best quality I've seen from a One Piece movie, and I do love a lot of the One Piece movies. It's the highest grossing film of One Piece, but to be honest, I kind of expected that. I think very often anime movies, the more there are, sometimes the more popular they get. That's not always true, but, you know, One Piece doesn't seem to be dying down anytime soon. So I'm a super big fan of this. I thought this was really, really good. Jesus. I've actually been seeing advertisement for it for like the last 6 weeks or more on TikTok because my TikTok feed is very anime centric. So that's definitely been a factor in my wanting to go see it in theaters, because normally I'd just wait and watch it on a streaming service or something. I think there have been a couple anime movies that have released recently in theaters near me, and I usually miss them either because I'm busy or they're just not something I'm interested in. Like, I know the Heaven's Field... Nick Nack went to see the Heaven's Field movies, and I think the Boku no Hero movie, and I think Mugen Train. And I remember that one of the Fairy Tail movies came out in theaters a long time ago when I was in high school, so that's awesome. In terms of the story, actually, before we get to the story, I want to comment about Uta, right, and animation. So Uta has the Sing Sing fruit. We're going to talk about that when I want to talk about the story a little bit, but the way that they animate the Sing Sing fruit and the way that she uses her powers is really, really creative. So it is super colorful and at times really, really stylized. She almost looks like what's the blue-haired... Oh, I want to say she looks like almost like VTuber at times, but Hatsune Miku. It's kind of almost Hatsune Miku, VTuber meets One Piece. The aesthetics of her performances and the way that she uses the Sing Sing fruit and the way that it manifests in the movie are absolutely beautiful and fascinating. And I just think it was really, really well done. So getting into the plot, I really liked what they did with the plot here, and here's where major spoilers are going to happen. Like, I'm going to talk about like the ending of this movie and how I feel, right? So Uta is, in this movie, adopted by red-haired Shanks. She's his daughter. And she kind of grew up with Luffy, and at one point before before we see him getting his scar, or a little bit after that, she ends up being left on the island Elegia. But she kind of grew up with Luffy. So, way to grandfather that character into Shanks and Luffy. And then she obviously went to the island, and then he didn't hear from her again, and she didn't have any contact with the red hair crew, which is why we haven't heard from her at all. She's been completely shut away from this world on this island until a year or two ago when she found a Denden Mushi with video capabilities, and then she started singing to audiences across the Denden Mushi and got really, really popular. So Uta is an amazing singer. That's the reason why she's on Elegia. That's the kingdom of music, and it's where this really interesting kind of so it's called Taught Musica, and it's basically this ancient score that summons a demon king that was, I think, according to the movie, created by the last owner of the Sing Sing fruit, but I could be wrong. Anyways, but with the Sing Sing fruit, she's able to take people, and she kind of takes their souls and puts them into this separate world where she controls it, and theoretically, if she sleeps, they would be released, but as long as she stays awake, they're trapped, and there's nothing they can do. So she traps a lot of the world, including the One Piece crew, into this alternate reality, and she starts eating these wake shrooms, like little mushrooms meant to keep her awake, but they're deadly. And she says that she's going to create a new era where there are no bad guys, and there's no bullying, and there's no piracy, and anything like that, because she's a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. She's got some daddy issues. She's got some psychological issues that maybe could have been solved by Shanks being a better, more attentive parental figure in her life. I mean, we all make mistakes, Shanks. It's fine. But she could have used you at some point, I think. But so she decides that she's basically going to kill herself, and the people will stay trapped in that world, and it will start a new era, because the era of pirates is over. And it's really interesting because she's kind of like friendly with people until she finds out that they're bad people or they're pirates. We see the return of Big Mom. Two of her kids, Oven and Creme Brulee, I think, are after Uta. And we also see Big Mom and a bunch of her kids, and Katakiri... fucking hell, I can't speak. I just came from class. Katakuri joins in at the end in the big fight, and he's mochi fruit, and I love it. Kobe and Helmeppo are in it. So is Bartholomew. Trafalgar, Beppo is there. Trafalgar's there just to like escort Beppo because Beppo's a huge fan. It's absolutely adorable. He comes in like fan gear and stuff. He's transformed into like a little baby polar bear for like 3/4 of the movie. And like the world government is aware of what's happening, so they're sending admirals, Fujitora and Aokiji. Sakazuki sends Fujitora and Light Dude. Fucking Aokiji. Like, here, fam, I am a One Piece fan. There are just so many characters and names, and I always get the admirals' names mixed up because they each have 2 names. But I know it's not Akainu because Akainu is Sakazuki. Anyways, so the 5 elders are like, this can't go on. We have to send something. And then St. Charles appears at one point, and he's like, I want to buy you. And she's like, fuck that shit. And then they're like, okay, regardless of whether or not St. Charles is there, we must stop this, so they attack. It's basically like a Buster Call, but not really a Buster Call. Anyways, I'm not going to spoil the stuff about T.H.E Musica, but basically what happens at the end is they have to fight from both sides of the world. Like, Shanks and his crew fight the demon in the real world, and Luffy and his crew and all their friends fight it in the alternate world, and when they strike at the same time in the same place, it weakens the demon and eventually causes like the demon to break down. And it's really, really, really fucking sweet because they activate Haki, and then like Yasop is there, and with his observational Haki, he's able to communicate with Usopp, and they direct the fight. And so Ben and Zoro are synced up, and Luffy and Shanks are synced up, and so the characters like sync up with their counterparts, and then Usopp and Yasop are just fucking adorable together. Oh my god. It was a stunning fight. I had to explain hockey to Knick-Knack because he's not gotten to any part that involves hockey, so that was an interesting explanation. And then, you know, I will let you guys watch the movie yourself to find out what happens with T.H.E Musica and Uta, because I feel like I've spoiled a lot, but I kind of want to leave some up to chance. Honestly, I think this was one of my favorite One Piece movies so far. I loved it. I'm definitely going to be getting myself a copy, and I'm definitely downloading the soundtrack in both English and Japanese, and I'm going to be singing it for the next like 6 months. So super highly recommended. Go watch Film Red if it's in theaters near you. If it's not, check it out on a streaming service or wherever you can find it available. And let me know if you like us doing like, you know, little kind of off-the-cusp reviews of anime movies and stuff like that we may have seen outside of the channel. So, like, comment, subscribe. Bang, bang, bang.